A famous quote by Jim Rohn says, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Environment is just as important as hard work, effort, and motivation. In the book The Compound Effect, Hardy mentions that the people you habitually associate with determine as much as 95% of your success or failure in life. 95%! It means that if you get your relationships and friendships right, you are more than half your way there. So how has your relationships made or broken you in the past? What part of your accomplishments today do you owe to the advice or support of the people you've met? I, for one, owe my love for reading to my best friend, who introduced me self-help books as early as high school. This is PayPal's founding team, called the PayPal Mafia. From there, these people founded these companies. How many can you identify? Whilst this is more of an example of network rather than friendship, the environment you are in and the influence of the people you surround yourself with shapes you. So rule 3 is to make friends with people who want the best for you. So let us first ask, where do bad friendships come from and why do we choose to stay in them? Sometimes, when people have a low opinion of their own worth, or perhaps when they refuse responsibility for their lives, they choose a new acquaintance of precisely the type who proved troublesome in the past. Such people don't believe that they deserve any better, so they don't go looking for it. We think we don't deserve better friends, so we never seek them out. There's a psychological phenomenon called repetition compulsion, in which a person repeats physically or emotionally painful situations that happened in the past. Then the traumatic experience happens again. It's the idea that people create their worlds with the tools they have directly at hand, and faulty tools produce faulty results. Secondly, we make friends with people who are bad for us because it's easier. If you procrastinate, it's easier to befriend a procrastinator who assures you it's alright to do so because I procrastinate too. Befriending someone who is an enabler of your bad habits is bad for you, which leads to our second point. How then should we go about helping friends more effectively and in a way that doesn't drag us down? Before we answer that question, we should learn this idea that not everyone who is failing is a victim, and not everyone at the bottom wishes to rise. This is an uncomfortable truth to learn, especially because it can be disguised amongst people actively seeking help, but resist to change deep inside. It's not easy to distinguish between someone truly wanting and needing help and someone who is merely exploiting a willing helper. If you assume that someone who needs help is a victim, you're saying that he has no responsibility with where he is today, because you're suggesting that he has nothing to do with his failures and the world is to blame. And this is a bad assumption. Studies show that more often than not, when you bring a troubled person into a productive group in hopes to inspire him, he ends up bringing the whole team down. It is hard to help people who don't want to help themselves. Jordan has patients who were court mandated to go through psychotherapy, but the therapies didn't work because these people were forced to do them. The first step to change is awareness and willingness to do so. After all, down is easier than up. It is easier to fail. To fail, you only need to cultivate a few bad habits and spiral down from there. Things fall apart of their own accord, but the sins of men speed their degeneration. Jordan suggests that the attempt to rescue someone could be fueled by vanity and narcissism, that the motivation for helping others might be just to make ourselves feel better with our situation, and this is not a good reason to do so. Before helping someone, find out why the person is in trouble. More often than not, it's not merely out of unjust circumstances. If you just assume that his personal responsibilities play no role in his current state, you're stripping the person of his power and denying the person all agency in the past, present, and future. When your help is asked, there are a few things you might want to consider before jumping in to help. You first need to make sure he wants to be helped, and how a person shows this varies. Secondly, what intrinsic and extrinsic factors put this person in his current situation? How much of the reasons are self-inflicted, and how much of it is out of his control? You want to call out responsibility where it is due. Lastly, are you the best person to help? Have you been through what she has been through, and do you know enough not to accidentally cause more harm? Sometimes we are not in the best position to dive in and help, and being there for someone and giving your support might be the best thing you can offer. When you finally decide to help, it is often better to lead by example rather than try to actively change the person. Okay, so now that bad friendships are out of the way, how do good friendships look like first of all? Friendship is a reciprocal arrangement. Loyalty must be negotiated fairly and honestly. It requires effort and intention from both sides to work. You can ask yourself, would you recommend this friend to your brother, sister, or child? If not, why would you want a friend for yourself? Secondly, why is it important to befriend people who want the best for you? If you befriend someone who wants the best for you, you're giving him or her the permission to demand nothing but the best from you, because they will not tolerate cynicism. People not aiming up will offer a former smoker a cigarette and a former alcoholic a beer. They will become jealous when you succeed. Mostly, they're dragging you down because your new improvements cast their faults in an even dimmer light. As you listen to this, is there someone constantly crossing your mind right now? Share your experience with friendships in the comments down below. It is definitely not easier to be around people good for you because it requires strength to stand beside such a person without feeling inferior, envious, or intimidated. It takes someone with a growth mindset and confidence to stand beside people who are good and strive to do better. So when you do, have humility, courage, and use your judgment. People better than you have high expectations for you, and now you're allowing them to help you become better. When you dare aspire upward, you reveal the inadequacy of the present and the promise of the future. That way, your dissatisfaction with the present propels you to aim only higher from here on. If you've read or watched Rule 2, you already know that you should do what's truly best for yourself. And in this rule, you're inviting others to help you become better in that journey. Now, it's not to say that you should go home and sever ties with friends who are going through tough times, but it's a good start to determine how your values and goals align and what you want to get out of the friendship. The resistance to take a magnifying glass and assess a relationship can be big, but by curating your environment in a way that lifts you higher means you don't need a big motivation to achieve what you want. A friendship should be transformational. Imagine your friendship is a whole piece of pie. Each person who takes a piece should at some point replenish a piece. That way, the pie never runs out and everyone in that friendship is giving and receiving. So, let's go back to the question at the start of the video. Reassess the people you spend the most time with. How do you feel about being the average of these people? Then, go and strengthen friendships with people who truly want the best for you, or make new ones. Make friends with people who want the best for you.